Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, with your host, Jay Marsden. He's from the Marsden Law Group. I'm John Drohan, and this is Money in the Law. This is your show. The show where we talk about money, we talk about legal things. We do it in a way where you understand it, where everybody likes to kind of hear it. There's a little jovial humor that goes along with it.
Sure.
It's a warm feeling.
It's the people show.
You kind of get that kind of warm fuzzy when you hear about it. And the best thing about it is after it's done, I think you learn something. I think you do. You get something out of it, right?
It's almost like a lunch and learn, or a liquor and learn, or a breakfast and learn, or I don't know what you're talking about.
The liquor and learn, I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
This is what I'm told. We're obviously reaching out to different people. We have obviously you're getting different emails than I'm getting. Obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure I do get different emails. So this is what we do. We talk about things that are probably on your mind, that maybe you just don't get around to talking about, or maybe you don't really understand enough. You feel like kind of a little intimidated to talk about, or you have an idea in your head and you're like, the little voice inside my head is saying that just doesn't sound right. So this is why you tune into this show, and you come and see us. And like I said, I'm John Drohan. This is Jay Marsden, and Tom Harmon, of course, is here because he is. Tom Harmon brings the Money in the Law magic to the Holliston Hub /HCAT, and Tom, of course, is the executive producer. How's everybody doing today?
Swell.
Yeah?
Swell.
Tommy,
swell,
you good?
Swell.
All right, yeah. And swell is like the beginning of sweltering, which is kind of what we're in the middle of right now.
I was just telling Tommy, 9 holes of golf last night, walked it. That's why I'm looking so slender.
That's why you look good.
Because I'm so dehydrated. Yeah. That's exactly right.
It's really dehydration.
Yep. That's really what it is. Yeah.
And then your liquor and learn, or whatever you did afterwards.
Yeah, there was some learning. Yeah, there was some liquor and laughing, I would say, after the round. Yes, there was.
A little bit of laughing. Yeah.
Yes, but it's all good. It's all good.
So we have one of the things that we kind of do when we get started is we like kind of talking about like some of the stuff that's going on, right? Some of the things that are happening kind of in
a current events thing
in the greater Milford area, right? So and of course we're Holliston guys, right? The three of us, we're well, you're a Milford guy. Tommy's a Milford guy. But you're kind of representing Holliston because it's Holliston.
He has Holliston hat on.
I was going to say Holliston hat, Holliston hub, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like from an employment, but he's as a resident, he's a Milford guy. And you know what? We all kind of live in the same place, right?
Metro West, greater Metro West.
I don't feel. I mean, I live in Holliston, but I mean, I probably spend just as much time in Milford as I do in Holliston because that's where all the stuff is, right?
I probably spend more time in Milford than I do in Holliston, just because I'm down that end of town.
Because that's right. You're right. You're kissing the border right there.
I'm on the line. I'm almost in the DMZ a little bit. Yep.
And I remember the only time I ever felt there was like a distinction, like a very like clear distinction between Milford and Holliston was back in the day when we were talking about the casino.
Ooh,
like back during casino, the casino time, and Milford was like right there. They almost had it. They almost had that.
Well, there was a lot of like, don't tell us what to do. It was for all the right reasons. Like I'm cut from that cloth. I don't want people telling me what to do. I don't want people meddling in my affairs. And so, but at the same time, I would say there was also a lot of kind of intermunicipal conversation going on about, let's just understand what all the impacts would be, and let's understand how this would impact the region, if you will, as a whole. That was the discussion.
because that's the thing is, and the whole like crux of it was Milford was going to actually have the casino. So Milford was the one who actually scratch the winning lottery ticket that is going to enable them to kind of, reap the benefits, the financial benefits of having the casino. And then your surrounding towns, such as Holliston, such as your backyard, and the other ones.
My physical backyard.
Exactly. Like those, we were going to not reap the financial benefit, the direct financial taxation benefits, but we'd kind of get the rest of it.
There was some overflow issues that we would have had to deal with. I think that's what we called those back in the day.
Oh, yeah. And
well, what's funny? So now, rarely do you get the chance to kind of look back and say, okay, what does the alternative or the alternate universe look like? And I don't know. I'm not a gambler, and I've never physically gone there, but I've been by it a bunch of times. So when you see the footprint that is the Encore Casino
in
Everett, where it's located, you start to recognize the scale,
the size
of what a project like that looks like. and how it kind of impacts
and what it does to
surrounding.
like that intersection right there that I'm looking at from this, and the road that it's, and the Route 16, which is kind of that main thoroughfare that goes, that connects Milford to Holliston. And you're right. It's not unlike when the whole building 555, the Hopping Brook 555, there was, all of like the discussion. Well, this is what Holliston needs. They need to have a, like more industrial. They need to have more commercial, like, tax base, and this is set up for it. And they everybody, not everybody, but like the owner and they have a big plan for it. And then when you started to realize what the scale, what the scope of that was going to be, like what the size of those buildings, and it wasn't until I went down, we were in a, I was in the Taunton area, and I went down and actually see kind of what the what a 1 million square foot building looks like. And you look at that and you're like, wow, that is big.
That seems big. That seems big.
That seems big compared to the other buildings that are going to be. And don't get me wrong, there's some big buildings particularly in the house in Hopping Brook Park. Nothing like that.
No, and that's one of the things that happens. And when you sort of look around and you see what's happening in your community, and you say to yourself, for good or for bad, we've kind of laid the grid pattern of the town out the way it's been. And this isn't just our town. This is all towns, right? So there are just some areas that have a much better ability to absorb the scale of some of these developments. And then the impact of those developments is kind of muted just based on their ability to absorb that type of scale. And we don't have a lot of those abilities.
Sure.
That was always the challenge that we used to run into.
And that was it, right?
Can we handle something like that?
When you were on the board, what is Holliston wired for? Like, what are they infrastructured for, right? Yeah. And as opposed to, is there a big chunk of land like on the outside of Holliston that connects to a major artery that's not going to impact, and that's the difference, right? That when you go to a place like Taunton or any of these other places and say, wow, this is a massive building. However, the impact that it has on kind of like the collective town isn't as much as it would be as if you put it like right in the middle of Route 16 and Hopping Brook Park.
I mean, there was talk at one point that the casino would be better placed at a place like the Heinz Convention Center.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of, downtown Boston, surrounded by hotel rooms, and they've got the scale to absorb a project like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the magnitude of it. It wasn't something I never felt like it was a fit.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
So we should probably go to Everett and just check it out and
we should probably, what we should do is we should do a show from Everett, and then that way Tom will pick up, they'll probably comp us some chips, things like that. Like My FM should sponsor a big part of that. Tommy is all over it. You can't see it because we're on the radio, but when we mention that, Tommy literally
shaking dice.
He tore away the golf pants and the t-shirt, and he had a tuxedo on underneath it, and he was ready to walk right up to the baccarat table and start playing hardcore.
Everybody.
He was all of a sudden he had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
At the $500
and he was just like so cool. I didn't even know where he got all the chips. He had a stack of chips in his hands, and he just
I know I can't smoke in here.
He transformed it to James Bond from Casino Royale like it was nobody's business. It was wild. He just won a car at the blackjack table, at the poker table. Yeah, unbelievable.
All in. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna buy all the seats right now. I don't want any help today.
If he walks out right now, he's gonna flip a chip to me and you as a chip and say thanks for the show, guys. Great job. Yep. What prompted you to come up with that? Were you walking down memory lane? Something pop up in your feed on your phone today?
No. I was kind of just. It came to me.
You just reminisce?
It came when you were talking about like kind of like the kind of our spatial like connection to Holliston and Milford and I remember and then you of course mentioned that you were right on that Milford on that Milford line. That casino was going to be.
Well, it was funny when I was
you were going to be able to hear the bands playing.
Yeah, when I was on the board of selectmen, people would call me up, and I was working out of my home office at the time, my office at the house. People would call me up, and they would you're an elected official. They would grind you the minute they got you on the phone, right? They would just start
good times.
You up.
Yeah,
and
they weren't saying thanks for all.
No,
they
weren't calling
work.
to thank me. And the constant complaint that I would get when people would call me, when they would say, "You're not doing enough." Right, in terms of dealing with whatever this casino thing is going to look like. And then they would go on to say, you have no idea what the impact of this is going to be. And I would say to them, I don't think you know where I live, do you? And they would say, what are you talking about? And I said, look, I literally would be able to walk to the casino from my backyard. I mean, I wouldn't have to, parking would not be a problem
there's a
for me.
footpath, right?
That's right, that's right. Parking was not going to be a problem
There's a
for me.
hiking path through there.
I would be able to come home and I thought to my mind, that would be actually not that.
As long as they had the code to the gate.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'd be on a first name basis with all the guys smoking in the back of the building. Because they'd literally be smoking in my backyard.
Because they would be.
Yep.
That's fun.
Yep. Yeah. That's good stuff. Good stuff. That's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's good. So it didn't happen, and that's okay.
Yeah,
right?
Here we are. That's fine.
And here we are back, kind of like small town.
We got a quarry instead. That's fine. It's totally fine.
The quarry's lovely.
Yeah. Who doesn't love that? Yep.
Well, you need it, right? Yeah. I mean, you complain about it until you need some gravel, until you need some sand, right? On the snow. So what do you got going on today?
Today I got nothing. A couple of appointments later today. We have started our full
you're giving me a ride home.
Yeah, I'm giving you a ride home. Yeah. We're in our full-blown, we've moved it to summer mode. We have summer hours at the office on Fridays. So
I mean, what are the listed summer hours?
Well, the listed hours. We're open 9 to 5, 9 to 5, and then in summertime we dial it back on Sundays and we on Fridays, I should say, and we go we wrap it up at 2 through the summer.
I mean, 5 o'clock, right? There's, you know what's funny? So, Haley is from England, right?
Yeah.
So in England, people work till 5 on Fridays.
Sure.
I mean, it's like, oh no, I have an appointment at 4:30 on a Friday, and you're like, what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they do it. Not here.
But then they leave for August. They take an entire month off, and they go they go on holiday.
Yep,
so before you're pushing the Europeans really work a lot harder. Let's dive into that conversation.
And they've also may have taken a 2-hour lunch where they've gone home and I know that's how they do it in France, right? Where they go home and sleep. Yeah.
So I'm not that worried about it. Not that worried about it. That's it.
So you guys are in full blown mode. You guys
full blown mode. Cape Cod mode. My daughter and my wife have moved on to the Cape. They've as employees of the school system. Now that's not really all that. Not a lot happening over there right now.
No, you got to.
They have matriculated over the bridge. Not to be seen or heard from until probably Labor Day.
Yeah, we got to go visit Mom over. So listen to this. So we talk about this oftentimes on the show about how as your kids get older and your family just changes and it kind of happens before you know it. So last week, so my oldest, my Lily, started work this week. So she's full time and she works down in Long Island. The week before was the only time that the 5 of us were all going to be together.
Got a window.
And we were there we had 5 days. So 5 days and that's it for the summer.
Yep.
Because her schedule's going to be tight and Chloe's down in New York but Phoebe's up here. But that was that 5-day period where we were there and it was all right. And part of it was the twins just turned 21 in April. So there's that different factor of hey, where do you guys want to go? Because we can go wherever we want.
That's a different component. That's a different element.
So we did get to go down. Yeah. We saw Grandma and spent a little time down in Wellfleet and got to see Grandma. Got to go to our old watering hole.
Old haunts down there. Yeah,
old watering hole down there.
Yeah,
it was good.
Good stuff.
It was good living. That and the between spending a little beach time, little beach time.
Yep, 'tis the season.
And got to see it. Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, I'm excited about summer. I'm excited about getting back to Cape Cod. We go back in the 4th of July. You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited about doing some true. And I know you're a true clammer.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about doing some clamming. Yeah.
It's the quintessential Cape Cod activity.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been standing out there. It's sunset. Everyone's bent over, raking the shoals for some clams. And it's one of those, you look around and you're like, could somebody put this on a postcard? Because this is pretty much what you think it would look like.
So down where you are they pretty strict with the clamming licenses? Like one person per license?
Yeah, you get one license per person. It's $35, and then that gets you a 10-quart basket, I think, or 10, whatever, I forget.
Yeah, whatever the
unit
bucket
measurement,
is,
but whatever it was. So you get a decent-sized bucket. And there are some people who are there and they are in it to win it. I mean, they're going to fill that to the top. They're going to pile a bunch more over the lid, see if hopefully nobody from the natural resources department catches them walking out the door.
There's a little clam ring, right, where you check the size, right?
Check the size on it, all that stuff. So they're definitely going to do that. And then we've kind of moved into because it's on Sunday, so clamming and where I am in Yarmouth,
it's one day.
Sunday's the day, which is great. But most people are clearing out on Sunday and they're heading back home. So now you either got to finish these things on Sunday. So you think, oh, well, how much could 10 bushel bucket is?
Amount of chowder.
That's a lot of chowder. and you got to babysit them. You got to take care of them.
Yeah. You can't just throw them.
They're not just going in the cabinet, right? You got to find a place to put them somewhere. You got to keep them. And I don't know. You hear guys talking about all the different scams they have about, I got a tank with a bubbler in the garage, and I throw them in there.
I can do like clam CPR.
I can extend these things a couple of days, but the last thing you want to do is you don't want to go long on the shelf life of your clam. That's not the
any
the one
shellfish. Thing. They're the shellfish. You're that shelf life. It ends quickly.
You want to ruin the weekend of your friends who come down 6 days later, and you think you're putting out this feast
steaming
for them?
these up, putting these steamers on. Yeah,
it's literally it's literally an E. coli smorgasbord.
Right.
So you don't want to do that. So that's the challenge. So
you can freeze them.
You can freeze them. You can keep them. They'll keep for 5 days, but you really start
five, right?
5-ish. Keep 5. Morning. Is it the morning of the 5th day? What are we doing with this? Are those going into an omelet, or are they going into? So that's what you're trying to do. So that's the downside. So we've taken the other tact, which is like, I'll go. I want to be out there. Half a bucket, I'm good. Bring them back. It depends on who eats them. If you're the only person in the house that eats them, then you got to be into it. And at some point, you say to yourself, as awesome as that was, I'm not sure I can do. I can't do 30. So the reason they bring you 6 at the restaurant, right? So you're like, I can do some. I can't do 20. Yep.
So the question is, and this is what I just realized. I think we may have covered this last year, but I need to review it. So again, clamming my whole life. When my old man would take it when we were kids, we always and I always thought it was like amazing. Oh, my dad can find the clams.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then as he passed on to the next generation, my brother is the true clammer. My brother has some kind of
system.
It's not even a system. It's like a sixth sense where he can just he finds them, right? Yeah. And he's the true one who loves clamming the most. And so we're out there and we're clamming one Sunday, right? And his kids out there, my kids are out there, and it's like beautiful day. And he's like, he goes, this thing is, I love these Easter egg hunts. And I'm like, no, it's not Easter. What are you talking about? And he goes, no, like an Easter egg hunt. And I'm like, why are you calling it an Easter egg hunt? We're out there, we're finding the clams. He goes, how do you think these clams got here? And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, these clams didn't all just grow here and grow up here.
Yeah.
There's guys that
seed the bed.
They throw those things in there.
Yeah.
And they do it all summer long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I was heartbroken. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Well, they don't throw them in there all summer long. They rotate the beds.
Up top they do.
Yeah, they rotate up top they do.
Up top they do.
So they rotate the beds. They go out and this place is the area that you go to this year.
Yeah.
So everybody goes over to this beach, right? This is the area, and then while you're all over here, distracted over here, right? Shiny object. They're loading them into whatever the clamming area is that they've sort of designated. So then when this thing gets fished out, if you will, right, clammed out, they bring you around and they say, hey, guess what? So this year it's over here. So the way they rotate them in Yarmouth is this year is when they're close to my house. It's like the bed is like
can you get
I can
to
walk.
it?
It's 5 minutes. It's on. I can't walk to the clamming bed, but it's jump in the car, plenty of parking. It's 2 minutes away. So and it's really easy. Like when you walk out, it's really easy.
I might have to swing by your house on the way home on a Sunday.
We'll make an afternoon. We'll make an afternoon of it.
Because you're an accomplished clammer
as
well, right?
I got all the gear. The gear's a little beat up. I might be looking to rotate the bucket's got some mileage on it. The ring's a little beat up, but I look like I'm a grizzled old veteran.
Yeah, you know what right? You have a big hat on. Right?
I do. Put my license on it. Yep, that's right.
Right. Those are the real guys. All right. Yep. So we didn't come here to talk about clam.
We could. I could talk about it all day long.
Just kind of easing into the summer. I actually did have something that I wanted.
Actually, I have something that kind of relates to clam.
What do you got?
I'm gonna dovetail it right in here.
I'll tell you what.
Quick break. We'll come back.
We'll take a quick break. The teaser is it's the dovetail, the clamming dovetail. So it's like
we're using that as the framework.
Yeah. So see if you can guess what it is
all right.
During the break. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back on Money in the Law.
All right, and we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Tommy's on the bag, and we're talking about Well, we started talking about clamming in Cape Cod because the weather's about a bajillion degrees out right now, and so that's
like too hot to clam.
Yeah, it's never too hot to clam. Never
I don't know.
But that's the idea. So we were trying to figure out how we were going to tie this back into either the money or the law part of the program. And so what I was laughing about was when you were talking about how, you know, when you go out there, you gotta have a sixth sense, right? You gotta kind of figure it out. You need somebody to kind of be the clam whisperer.
Yeah.
Well, this happens all the time, and guess what? Wait for it. In the probate world.
Shut the front door.
I know. And I was walking in here, and I was talking to somebody in the office, and we were joking about we're doing a workshop. It's coming up. It'll have long since come and gone by the time you guys hear the show, but we do it on a regular basis, and we do what we call
clamming with Jay.
It's not clamming with Jay. It could be clamming and estate planning.
Yeah.
Right. But
estate clamming.
That's right.
Yeah. There we go.
Excellent. Love
That's
it.
better.
We can do this all day. So the idea is, you know, look. You were just talking about how your brother kind of goes out and he knows where all the Easter eggs are. He knows where everything is, right? So we run a workshop that basically says how to probate your own estate. And why do we do it that way? Well, we do it that way because you, for the most part, as the owner of all your stuff, you have a pretty good idea of where all the clams are, right?
You know where most. Right? I mean, we'd start with you, right?
Right. You have a pretty good idea, right? If I asked you about a bunch of statements that would come in, right, that most people would struggle to translate, you would be able to say, oh yeah, that's $600. That's an old retirement account that I meant to transfer 10 years ago, and I just haven't got around to doing it. Right. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's from an old credit union account that I used to have. But I don't have the account anymore. There's money in it, but I used it because I needed to use it because that's where I had a loan from a car that I bought 6 cars ago, right?
Yeah.
So
and people remember this.
That's exactly right.
They remember it, right? They kind of have that. They're like, oh yeah, I know what that is, right? And that's the thing is, especially like in the generation that's doing their estate planning now, which is like kind of like one generation ahead of us, right?
Correct. That's right.
They seem, and we see it in the financial planning world too, where they have a pretty good concept of kind of where all their stuff is.
Well, not only do they know where all their stuff is, but not that it necessarily matters, but it helps, but they know why their stuff is
There's some whys,
where it is, right? Yeah. So to you and I, you know, we would say to somebody when they come in, hey, what are you doing with this? You know, you get $2,830 in this credit union account. What are you doing with that? Oh, you know what? They had a local office. I got the car loan. They actually closed that office. I used to really like the woman who worked there. She was always super nice. I would go in on Saturdays. I would see her and I'd bring her a donut because I would go in just to say hi because, you know, she was really nice to me. Blah, blah. Like everyone's got this crazy story, right? And you're like, okay, that's a great story. Fascinating as it is. Yeah. Wonderful, right? That's great. Why are we keeping it there? Yeah. And you're like, well, it's just kind of like been inertia. Or there's a reason for this, right? So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about if you're the guy who goes out and you put all the clams in the clam bed, right? And you lay it all over that place, and then you leave. Well, if you come back the next day, you kind of know where to start, right?
Kind of right. You know, you'd be like when you see Jay like moseying over like down like towards like the southern side of the beach, and he's looking at him, he's like shaking his head like, no, bring it back this way.
That's right. You could do that. But you could do that, or you could say, you know what? I'm going to leave him over
Good
there.
luck. Yeah.
That will keep him busy for a good couple of hours trying to fill that bucket because I'm going to be out of here in about 20 minutes because I know right here. I look at there's a red house right there. There's a pole. That's an osprey nest. And I know exactly why these clams are right here.
Triangulation of fire brings me right here.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So this is what we've been talking about lately. We come up with this idea of probating your own estate, which is come to one of our workshops, sit down, because this is what we're going to do, right? We're going to make you, we're not going to share all of your information with everybody in the room. That's not the idea. But we're going to take you through this exercise that says, look, I want you to find it all. You're going to go find the clams. You're going to go find the Easter eggs. You're going to write it all down because I can't tell you how many times we're in a meeting, we talk to a client, we lay the plan out according to what we've just been told, and then it's almost like the old, what was the name of that, who was the Harvey guy on the radio, you know?
Harvey Keitel?
Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey would do he'd do a thing on the radio, and then there was always tell you
Harvey
some story.
Korman?
He did always tell some story, and then at the end he'd be like, but that's not all the information.
Right.
There's some other twist to the story. This happens to us all the time. We go through somebody's worksheet, we sit down, and then they go, oh, by the way, I didn't mention this to you, but I'm inheriting some money from a friend of mine, and the probate is supposed to get resolved in like, I don't know, a couple of weeks, and I'm going to get a big check. I didn't know that. I own a piece of property with my cousin, and how do you own it? I don't really know, but I forgot to mention it. Or timeshare. We hear this all the time. Oh, that's right, we have 9 Disney timeshares. Because every time we go, we get all liquored up, and then they take us into the session, and we get free tickets to a breakfast with the princesses, and we've bought 9 of them. We love Disney. Love Disney, right? Yep. One for all the kids, and
every
then some.
year.
Yep. So those are the things. So this is what this whole probate. This isn't after the fact. We're asking you. Let's pretend that you're the personal rep of your own estate. I want you to walk through the experience of what somebody on the back channel is going to have to do, so you understand how important it is to clean some of this stuff up and to try to make it easy for.
What a great exercise, though. I mean, even beyond the estate planning and the probate, and is just what a great exercise. And we try and do this all the time, where we say, let's go through your stuff, and then because then when you start asking the questions like, why do you have that? Why do you have the Lowell Federal Credit Union? Yep. Why is that $3,000 there? Why do you have 7 different bank accounts?
Yep.
And then that you ask that question, and the people have to answer like, well, because like you said, whatever the reasons, I had a car loan, our mortgage got paid through that. This is where my sister's money that she left us. Whatever all that was, and then you can say, do you need it? Do you have to have that? Like is it what purpose is it serving you now, as opposed to kind of making things a lot? We talk about it all the time. Like, we want to streamline things, and we want to make things like just be like cleaner and easier, because especially in the probate process, right? It's tricky enough. Right? Well, there's enough stuff to deal with, right?
Well, it's tricky enough, but not only is it tricky enough, but the work that you have to do, there's a line, right? There's a line. And if you're over the $25,000 number, it's more work. It's more burdensome. The filings are more complicated. There's a number in there where things start to, and it starts to not matter, right? Like the probate court makes no distinction between $30,000 and $300,000. Yeah. It's the same amount of work. So we could find these little knockoff situations where we can pull together 5 or 6 of these little collective accounts that people have been kicking around and really should have been kind of closed and consolidated a long time ago. And we have to charge our fee is going to be the same to clean those all up.
It's the same amount of work, right?
That's right. And so this is what. So when we take you through the exercise, we want you to see it, and we jokingly tell everybody, you're never going to probate your own estate, but we make a distinction between there's probating your estate. Right. And then there's estate administration. And they're not the same thing. Estate administration is just chasing down all these accounts. Even if they're all titled correctly, somebody still has to go to and by the way, the credit union that says you can't do that online. Yeah. Like, that's a trip to Lowell to take care of that. Or we close the office. We don't have an office anymore. We have clients that have, they have some online bank somewhere, and they don't have a local office, and you need to go do something, and it doesn't work in a traditional sense. So sure, you had that account. They had a sweet CD rate for about a minute, and you piled in, and you got it. Good for you. You made a savvy move. You made an extra $8 on your $10,000 CD. That's great. But guess what?
But you got to tell everybody at the pool, I'm getting 4.5%.
That's right. That's great. So you made 8, but because you don't know why it's still there, it's going to cost you $2,500 for me to go get it as part of a probate petition on the small side. That's on the low end. This is really about, you guys would see it as an inventory project. And the other thing is, you tell me, you've been through this probably infinitely more times than most folks. Infinitely. When you sit down, like when the investment people say to you, well, where's all your money? Yeah. People get a little standoffish, right?
Whoa.
They think that you're trying to peek behind the curtain. Yeah, they want to find out what are you sizing up in their mind, because you're going to come after it. You're going to try to get they always see it as like a land grab. That's how they see it.
I always tee that up with, look, just so you know, I want to manage all your money if it's the right thing for you, right? That's what I want. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, let's be shameless. This is what's going on.
I love it when people give me money, and I say that. I say it to my colleagues. I love it when people give me money. I absolutely love it. That's how we get paid. This is great. It's great when you give me money. Now, if the fiduciary voice inside me, it's like the dude who lives on my right shoulder, and he's like, yeah, I know you'd love to take that money, but guess what? You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that guy says you can't do it for whatever the reason is, because it doesn't belong with you, it belongs somewhere or needs to stay where it's at, that's great. Then we have to, I'm like, okay, really? Are you sure? I'll ask him twice.
And when we ask it, people think that we're asking for like nefarious purposes as well. Like I need to know. And I ask it probably much in the way you do. I'm like, look, I don't want to count numbers. I'm looking 30,000 foot. Like, what do you get in your IRA? And they're like stumbling to give me the answer.
Yeah, let me look it up. I'm like, no, just guess.
I'm like,
take a guess.
Let me narrow it down for you. Is it 30,000 or is it 800,000? Like, right? You've been in the business long enough, right? Somebody comes in and they've been in the workforce 25, 30 years. They work at like a halfway decent company. I can guess within a number. It's like guessing somebody's weight, right? I can guess within a percentage.
You can't guess my weight.
I'm going to get close. I'm going to get close on how much you have in your account. I've seen this a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm not asking because I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to find out how big is this house and how much is it going to cost to paint it? I need to know how much paint we're putting the plan together. We need to find this out.
It's a great point. It's a great point because I'm sorry, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but like probating an estate costs money.
Yes.
Right? Like if you want to do this correctly, and again, we talk about, this is like what one of the primary like reasons of our show is the estate planning. It's the law part. It's the second part of the show, but it's just as important as the first part of the show.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, like the estate plan, like and the probate is like such an integral part of it. But yeah, it costs money. So if there's a way that you can kind of minimize or not necessarily minimize, but get it organized enough so it happens smoothly, then your money is well spent, right?
Yes.
As opposed to kind of just willy-nilly it. And like you said, if you got to dig after some $1,000 or $2,000 account that didn't need to be where it needed to be.
That's right. Wasn't serving a purpose where it was.
Exactly.
Or, you know what? If there's a reason that it has to live there, let's find out a way to make sure that this thing is tuned up so it doesn't cause somebody, and it's not that somebody is not going to be you as the client, it doesn't cause them grief and aggravation down the road to try to clean this thing up. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do. We joke in the office. We have marketing meetings and we're talking about how to reach more clients and get our message out there. And we've sort of laughingly said to ourselves, maybe the messaging should be, don't do your estate plan, right?
Yeah.
Because if we were really selfish, that would be the message. Do I need a will? Absolutely not.
No. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this.
Do I need to retitle my assets in the name of anything? Absolutely not. No. You should own all your property in your name alone. If you use a trust to make the administration of your estate easier to your kids, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. So they don't do anything, right? Then their kids don't know that we had this conversation. Then the kids come rolling in and they're like, I can't believe my parents didn't do anything.
You should name as the executor of your estate? You should name your dad, right? Definitely. Name your dad or name your grandfather. Even better.
And somebody older.
Yep.
Somebody older.
Way older than you. Yep.
And if you're leaving money to young kids, don't leave it to them in future trust. Just make sure you just leave it like there's absolutely no reason that a 13-year-old should not inherit
$1 million.
$1 million. Absolutely no reason. Absolutely no reason. And you know what? That's the way you should do it. So if I was a forward thinker, right? I would be out there just preaching just destruction, right? a dystopian future for people, so that I'm creating future revenue for myself for all those folks to come back and say,
we'll take care of everything. Don't do a thing.
I can't believe my parents didn't do anything. I'm as surprised as you are, because they were in here. We met. We talked.
We talked about it.
I offered them an estate plan. It was a couple of bucks. They didn't want to do it. And now, unfortunately, as I mentioned to them, the probate work is 4 times what I originally was going to charge them for the estate plan to avoid this problem. I'm as befuddled as you are. This is crazy. Let me just get a fee agreement. Sit right there. Hang on one second. That's the.
Thank God you didn't do that.
We had clients come in, and this is exactly what I was explaining to them. I said, look, if we do this right, which I think we can, and this is how we would do it right. I said, there's a pretty good chance that if something ever happens to you, I might have a 45-minute meeting with one of your kids to point them in whatever direction they need to be pointed in, and that's it. That's it. And by the way, and we don't even charge for the 45 minutes. We owe it to you as our client. We give it to your family to say, look, We just want to help you come up with a plan. If you need our help implementing the plan, that's fine. But we did this to make this easier, and so we at least need to give them that handoff, right? They need that handoff, and then they're on their own. But we'll point them in the right direction.
So and put a number, right? Put a number on that 45 minutes, right? Put a number on, and I'm not saying to actually do it,
sure.
But think about it. If you're the manager of trying to figure out this estate, you've never done this before. Most of the time, people have, oftentimes
sure. You don't do it a lot. Yeah,
they haven't done it, right? And they're like, and to have the lawyer say, okay, bro, here's what you need to do: A, B, C, D, and E. If you need help with it, here's my number. Call me. If not, you get rolling. And if you run into any trouble, call me up.
Yep.
And that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Because now they're like, okay, because I was really nervous and I have no idea.
This guy made it so simple. This person made it so simple, and he let me take notes.
Yeah.
I even got to take notes in the meeting, and I know exactly what I have to do. Piece of cake. Yeah. Piece of cake. And so that's what we're preaching. We're preaching to people to say, look, clean it all up, get it organized. Talk to your financial advisors. If you're working with them and you like working with them, there's no reason why they shouldn't be handling the bulk of your estate, because then when something happens, your kids call them and John says, hold on one second. We'll have the paperwork ready for you when you come by the office.
Easy peasy.
Done. Easy. Sign here, and watch the magic happen.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, think about that. What a dream scenario.
Right.
What a dream scenario.
As opposed to having to call whatever, Fidelity or Franklin Templeton and digging after whatever where all this. Yeah, my dad. Oh, I'm sorry. Is the client with you there? No, he just passed away. Oh, okay. Well, this is what we're going to need in order to talk to you. I'm sure you and to go through that. This is after you've been on hold for 30 minutes because you're trying to call a customer service number.
Look, think about this, right? And if you're listening to the show, hand to God, think about this for 1 second. Close your eyes. Play with me in this exercise. Close your eyes. You too.
Wait, if you're driving.
You too. If you're not driving. Close your eyes.
I'm closing my eyes.
All right. Now I want you to think about.
I'm thinking
think about your family. Think about if something ever happened to you. Think about the grief. Think about the anguish. Think about all the things that they're feeling, right, because of a massive, gigantic loss in their life, right? The person who made them who they are is no longer on the scene anymore, right? So they're obviously grieving, and everybody grieves, and it's hard grief. Now, on top of that, let's add some frustration and some angst over now having to clean up all of these things. They're already short-tempered because of the grief that they're feeling. Think about what that looks like. Think about your kids. Think about your wife. Think about that head in the hand moment where they're like, I can't believe I got to clean all this up. I can't believe what a mess this is, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. You can open your eyes now. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to take that off the table. It's already challenging enough. How do we clean this up and make it easy?
How many times have we said it? How many times have we said it? Like, look, most of the time when you're in these situations, you're banged up. Like the last thing you want to do is do something you're not comfortable with.
Yes.
Or do something that you're not familiar with. That's hard. It's hard to do it. It's hard to do it when you're not banged up.
Look, I'm in the business. The hardest things for me to ever do was to go through when I was dealing with my parents' estates and remove names from things.
Right.
Heart-wrenching things. I would sit and I would look at a piece of paper that I knew that I was signing that was taking somebody's name off. I knew I was closing an account, which to me felt like erasing somebody's existence.
Exactly.
It was heart-wrenching for me, and I do this for a living, right?
Yeah.
And I still was struggling with, I know I got to put this paperwork in. I know I do. I just
it's
don't
so
want to
easy
do it.
for me to
not
not
ready
do it today.
I'm just not ready to do it today. So we're trying to make that journey as painless as possible for people so that when it does, and it's not if, it's when it does happen, you've done the most you can do to make it easy for your family to administer your stuff, right? And that's what we're trying to bring to people. We're not saying to them, and oh, by the way, what we want you to have to do is have your family deal with more lawyers, right? Because everyone loves more lawyers, isn't that? Everything's
the more
better.
the better.
Everything's better with more
more
lawyers.
the better.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
As long as they're getting paid, right? Because the last thing you want is a lawyer that's not getting paid.
They're never not getting paid. Let's be honest. They're never not getting paid.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and finish this up. But so I hope everybody's learning something today. Like, the bottom line is you got to get organized. You got to get organized. Dumb it down. Simplify.
Yep.
I love doing things easy. As the great Russell Crowe did in one of my favorite westerns, 3:10 to Yuma, the remake. I like doing things easy.
There you go.
All right. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
And you're back, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group, John Drohan, Main Effort Financial.
Before we finish,
Tommy on the books here.
I got to say. So I'm listening this Saturday. I'm listening to 101.3, right? So
last Saturday, but go ahead.
Or this past Saturday. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to it, and it was early. It was before our show. I'm like, we're not on yet. I want to hear myself talk. But before that, I was listening to America's Top 40, right?
There you go.
And you forget how, first of all, you forget that it's America's Top 40, right? So you're reminded, and I hear Casey Kasem, who's, for those of you who can't see here, Casey Kasem
watches over us every week on the show.
Right, there's a big poster of Casey Kasem right here in the studio. And he's talking about, he goes, this week in the top 10, there was 8 of the 10 were foreign acts. And you're like, wow, why would we say that? That's just something. And he's like, no. And you're like, no, but it's American. And then I'm like, yeah, Don, it's this American Top 40.
Yes,
right?
it is.
So it was like a big deal. Like, there's an act, this is 1984, right? There's 3 acts from Germany, 2 acts from England, right? And you're like, wow, now it's like, you don't know where anybody's from, right?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
couldn't tell you.
Like, you don't. Oh, really? That guy's from Canada? You don't know, or they're from Australia. But so I couldn't turn it off. It was almost like when I couldn't turn it on.
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, you start hearing these songs that were in the top 40, and they're not like in the kind of the mainstream yacht rock, that playlist. You're like, I remember that song. And
as you get older, you start to loop, and you and I joked about it when the show began off the air. You get stuck in the same music.
Yeah.
Like I'm guilty as charged.
Spotify will do it to you, right?
Guilty as charged. It picks up on what you listen to, and that's all it feeds you, right? And even my wife will tell you, like, oh, I know what's happening here. You're gonna go down the same YouTube rabbit hole and listen to the same 82 songs
for the
next 2 or 3 hours.
James Buffett is coming
that's
on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I get the sense that there might be some Trump rock in my future, right? Coming right at you. And I'm going back to the 80s. I'm going some old school Billy Squier. I'm finding stuff, and I think I'm the most cutting edge DJ in the world. I can't believe I'm not at Ibiza right now doing a rave, right?
Exactly.
And everyone's like, whatever, dude, get out of town. I couldn't, it's not my scene.
You guys have never heard Billy Squier? Stroke Me? Yeah.
All right, guys, ready? Got my headphones
ready.
On. My headphones on. I'm just getting fist pumps up there.
This is throwback. It's a deep cut.
No one's having any of it. No one's having any of it off the island.
But you listen to American Top 40, the mid 80s, and the songs that are in the 30s and the high 20s. Those are songs like, whoa, I forgot about that song, right?
Oh yeah,
that's a great Linda Ronstadt,
Yep. Yeah, go get them. Love her.
All right, so we're talking about the concept of cleaning up your or getting yourself ready, like doing a self, your self probate.
Yeah, it's a self-assessment.
Yeah,
and just how ready are you?
Yeah, and how ready are you? And with that, inherently comes the review of kind of where all my stuff is and why all my stuff is.
Well, here's what we love about the workshop, right? In the workshop, if somebody's, depending on how people are kind of willing to share, right? But they'll, we'll kind of walk around and we'll say, hey, look, so what do you got? What did you find that was in your name alone? I don't want numbers, but tell me what you find. Did you find some things, right? We try to keep it obviously as confidential as possible. But people will say, like, oh yeah, I did actually find a couple of things. And then, to be a wise guy, I could even say to somebody like, give me a ballpark it for me, right? Because I can tell you right now what it's going to cost, right?
Yeah.
Right, without even knowing all the details, I know enough to be able to ballpark it and say, this is what it's going to cost to fix that problem. This is what it's going to cost to fix that problem. You want to come rolling in with a house just in your name? Oh my God! Stop the presses.
We're closing up shop early. It's Friday.
It's Friday. We're going home at 1. Going home at 1. We're going home at 1. Hold my calls.
That's right.
I got to take care of this.
That's right. Hold on. I'm putting my sandals on right now.
When people call us and say, "Hey, look, somebody's not doing well. I got this health thing going on. Or what should I do?" My first question to everybody is, "What does mom, dad, whoever it is, what do they own in their name alone?" And they say, "What do you mean?" I go, well, "Whatever they own in their name alone is going to have to probably go through probate. If there's any way for us to address that issue and sort of mitigate it now, especially real estate, what can we do? How do we do it?" We'll talk about that. We'll say, "Look, there's a couple things, and here's how we do it." Right? We might have some tools to do it. But this is the issue. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get in front of these problems to solve them, to make things easier for people down the road. And by the way, and this happens on this show a lot. We've been doing the show a long time. We don't spend a ton of time talking about taxes. A lot of this is not tax stuff. This is just estate administration stuff. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, because you're right. We don't talk. We try not to let taxes kind of wag the dog too much. But this is just right. This is just getting things in situated. So, and you said it. It's not if. It's when. When you shuffle off your mortal coil, that things are going to be, because remember, the whole reason you do an estate plan in the first place is because you're like, this is my life's work. Yeah. I want this to I want the people that I care about to be taken care of. Or if I don't have anybody that I'm leaving this to, I want this to go to the charity of my choice, or I want this to go to whatever, to my favorite football team. It doesn't matter. But this is what I want. This is, and I'm setting this up so when I go, that things are going to go easy. And
this is my last chance to leave a legacy. This is my last chance to leave a legacy.
Yeah, and the legacy could be, it's not even the size of the legacy. Nope. It's just that I'm leaving. This is what I've left. And you know what? For the people who have to manage this, who have to deal with it, those guys, I'm going to make this as easy as seamless as possible for you.
So we were joking about music a couple of minutes ago. For anybody who's not following this in the news, my lifetime musical mentor, one James Buffett, right now, Jimmy's been dead a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
There's an estate battle going on with his estate right now, and he did all the work.
Yeah.
He did all the work, and there's already kind of dissension in the ranks. You can look it up on Google. It'll tell you what's going on between his wife and his $275 million estate, and the people that he left in charge of the $275 million estate, and how that's supposed to kind of interplay with what's supposed to happen to her. And you would think, like, oh, there's no way this is going to happen, right? Like Jimmy's estate in his death is going to be handled just like he lived his life, right? One big party, keep the party going, everything's going to be fine. And it's not that long. It's not that this. I mean, in the scheme of like the timing and how long is it going to take us to kind of wrap our arms around what we're dealing with? And he had the advisors. He had the plan in place. He did the work.
I'm sure he did a little trust work.
I did a little trust work. Yeah, not by my firm. We were not retained on this. But this is how it was. It's already starting to kind of create problems, and he did the work. So, again, we're preaching to get the work done.
Wait, is this supporting your theory of don't do any work and just call Jay when you're?
I'm not saying that's a great plan. I would much rather have you get the work done and have a better outcome for your family. But we've jokingly behind the scenes, we're sitting around yucking it up in a marketing meeting, and we were like, wouldn't that be funny if we just said don't do that?
Yeah.
And then we would just sit around and wait for the implosion, and then just catch all that stuff.
No,
which is not the right way to go. And we're not advocating for that, but that's how much we care about getting it done.
I was going to say, because at the end of the day, and how many times have we said this? At the end of the day, your job, my job, Tom's job.
Yep.
Our job is to make people happy.
At
the end of the day, that's what we're doing. Tom produces this show, which of course makes millions of people happy.
Worldwide.
You set up your estate plan and you set up estate plans and get everybody organized because you're making those people happy.
Yeah.
You're making they leave your office with a peace of mind, and I'm happy. I know that this is going to get taken care of. And then when my family, when the estate actually has to get figured out, that it's easy, and you're there to coach them through it.
They have a resource,
and that makes them happy, right? Us,
that's what you guys do.
That's what we do. Like when someone says, "I'm getting ready for retirement," all right, we're going to put everything in the right place and get it organized to be able to do the right thing, have the right purpose, and then when you retire happy. And our job is to make sure you don't run out of money. So
that's right.
If you don't run out of money, you're happy, right? And that's it.
Everybody wins.
And at the end of the day, it's we talk about estate, we talk about property, we talk about real estate, we talk about money, right? At the end of the day, that's all stuff, right?
Are you happy?
It's just all about being happy, because you know what? You're here, and you can live your life happy, you can live your life content, or you can be, I don't mean to get too philosophical, right?
Hey,
but sometimes you got
If you thrive in chaos, that's a different animal. I get it. That's fine.
Yeah, and maybe that's what you do, and there's a reason for that, but maybe that makes you happy, but maybe there might be another alternative.
You might thrive in chaos. Other people around you might not.
Yeah,
they might not like the chaos you leave.
That's right. All right. So I think we're good.
We're good.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right. So
take that all to heart. Don't get too to your point. Let's not get too philosophical about it. We're passionate about it. Both of us. We're both passionate about it. Passionate about making things easy.
Yep, trying to make it easy, and at the end of the day, if things are organized, I think like when your house is clean, your garage is clean,
everything feels better.
You're
better.
like right, your car is clean,
bills are paid, everybody's
you know what?
good.
You're like, yeah, I can think about other things, right?
Yep,
All right,
that's right.
All right. So that's what we'll leave you with this time. All right, everybody, stay cool. We're in the throes of summer. If you need anything, go to moneyinthelaw.net. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call. All right, we'll see everybody next time on Money in the Law on My FM 101.3.
Have a great week.